Hello there, this is Bob from Two Old Guys Garage. Today is November 11th, Veterans Day, so happy Veterans Day to all you veterans out there. Thank you for your service. I'm about to embark on a major, hopeful change on the 32 Coupe, which is the steering box. The existing steering box, which was inherited when I bought the car in June of 1960, is a 1948 Ford steering box that was reversed, turned 90 degrees sideways, and then poked through the frame, welded to a steel plate that's attached by these 4 bolts. And since it's a 48 Ford, it does not have recirculating balls inside the box. It has a straight shaft connected worm gear, so there's no bearings, which makes it hard to turn. Also, because it's older, I do not have any way to take any more free play out of it, and is a little bit too much for my liking, which makes it a little more difficult to steer going down the road, which is one of the reasons why recently I added more toe in. But, so, I've looked at this issue a number of times over the last 10 to 15 years, investigating, first off, a Ford F100 steering box, which kind of bolts through, replaces the 32, but I could never find a Ford box without paying an arm and a leg, and didn't want to go that way. Then I looked at and investigated the use of a mid-80s Toyota 4Runner, a pickup mechanical box, which was used to retrofit Ford F100 boxes. Therefore, A equals B equals C should be able to be fit into the 32 frame rail and poke it through the side. Unfortunately, there's not any of them around to be found. I guess they all get used up by people with Ford F100s. So the other alternative was to look at a Corvair steering box. After many years of studying this, I decided that I was going to try to do the Corvair one. And to that end, a couple of months ago, I purchased a Corvair steering box, which is no doubt made in China, but the original Corvair boxes were aluminum and weren't that strong. This is a brand new heavy steel box that has recirculating balls inside for the worm gear, which makes it easier to turn. And of course, there's basically little or no free play. So what you see here is I've been designing and building what I think will be the adapter plate that'll take this and adapt it into the 32 frame. And this is the bottom plate held on by 3 bolts. This is 1/4 inch cold rolled steel made by my friend Lou, my partner. And as you can see here, this is basically a similar setup to the box that's in there. And what it looks like, if this fits in here, and I'll get into that in a bit more later, I would drill here the 2 existing front holes, and then since this looks like it's going to go back a bit from the there's a drawing. This is the existing Ford 48 box. This would be 1.5 inches back and up 1/2 inch from the center of here, would give me this hopefully to fit inside the frame rail. Now the 32 frame rail, from that point there to the outside, is about 2 inches, and then it's about 4.5 inches vertical and another 2 inches. It's a squared off C-channel with radius ends. So the existing Ford box is sitting at about 45 degrees angle on the column with plus or minus 1. This has been set up to mimic that angle, and that's what helped me to make this plate here. Now, as far as the depth goes, this does not tighten in way deep on the threads. The threads are further in. So what I need is about 1/4 of an inch space between this protruding out between the outside of the frame rail and the inside of the new pitman arm. That'll give me room, if it's a lined up square, to allow this to go back and forth. And what I'm thinking about, what I'm going to try to do, is that if you look at this point here, that would be the inside top edge of the frame rail going along here, which is what would put this to this suspected dimension. So in order to do that, go to the next step. I'm going to have to take the forward steering box out, which is a little bit of an issue. Forward steering, this is the column shaft with the center drive shaft, one piece with the worm gear. So I don't want to mess around with the exhaust, so what I'm going to do, and I've discussed this with Lou for every aspect of it, I'm going to undo the clamp, I'm going to slide the column up, and then I'm going to actually cut the shaft, mark it and cut the shaft. And the reason I'm going to mark it, I'm going to cut the shaft so I can pull it all out. I'm going to mark it in case this Corvair installation fails for whatever reason, and I got to return to the old original Ford box, hoping that's not the case. So I'm going to have to start by dismantling this, the 4 bolts, that loose, pull the column back, take the existing column drop off, which is that thing. That's 2.5 inches to the center of the forward column from the bottom of the 32 dash. And I couldn't find, I want to try to maintain the same attitude of the steering column, both with the depth and not. Now, I'm expecting a problem with connecting the linkage over. And if we look here, the firewall, it's a little too dark, the firewall, hang on a second, let me see if I can get some more light. Ah, there we go. So you can see here, the existing forward column comes through the firewall, and there's nothing holding it because it's a one-piece shaft, it doesn't need to. So assuming I go in the same position as this, it's going to end somewhere around here. It might be a difficult angle to go over to the Corvair box. I might have to recess it. But in any case, it'll be attached somehow to this firewall, where this one is not needed. So, having said that, the other thing is going to be a problem. If I have to move the new column up to get a better position for the U-joint connection at the bottom, I can always, this is a 3.5 inch, 15 inch diameter Grant steering wheel that's dished to 3.5 inches. I can always go to no dish steering wheel to put the steering wheel back into this position that's desirable. And I'm going to have to do a little bit of adaptation. This is actually a 56 Corvette center horn section that when I first got the car, it came with a 56 Corvette steering wheel, no dish, just a flat. And I had installed that, and I had fabricated a striker plate, got the Corvette parts, and I actually had a functional horn button. Any place I turned the wheel 360, the button on the plexiglass and copper plate that I made worked with the horn. So let me see, I think that's about it. And I'm going to stop talking about it, and I'm going to start dismantling at the bottom and outside. Hasn't been off since probably the 70s. Okay, get you all later. I'm going to pause here. Take care. Bye-bye. Hi, back. Same day. You can see the insides apart. The outer tubing of the steering column has been removed, which came out easier than I thought. I have to take this thing off too. This drop aluminum piece, but it requires getting under the car dash, and it's always a pain in the butt. Anyway, that come off pretty easy. I had to use a puller to get the Grant wheel adapter off so the tube wouldn't slide out, but there was room to get it out, and so that's okay. Also on the bottom end, I got the drag link disconnected, got the Pitman arm off. What I'm going to do, I'm about ready to knock off, but what I'm going to do probably tomorrow is I'm going to take Lou's suggestion and I'm going to come in here about there with a Sawzall, and I'm going to cut this shaft right there so that if we have to, we can sleeve it and weld it back together again. So tomorrow morning, before I loosen these bolts and take them out, I'll cut the shaft and then pull the top piece out, and then take the 4 bolts out of here and see if I can get this guy out. I might have to take the oil filter off to allow it to move that away. So that's a pretty good start. Got it going, and I think I'm going to call it quits for the day. So this will be the end of segment 1, and there's the new shaft that's going to go in. Lou bought that originally to do it in the Anglia, but then he wanted to go to a tilt, so I've kind of inherited it from him. Next to it is the 44 drive shaft, which you can tell it's a 40 because there's a hole here for the column shift linkage that came out in 44s, where 39 was the last year of the floor shift transmission. And there's the bracket that'll fix to the firewall and hold that. So it's actually good it's short. Maybe the right length and not require any modification in there. Hoping so. Find out when we get the old box out and see if the new box is going to fit and where it's going to fit. So with that, I'll bid you adieu. It's coming to an end. Oh yeah, I'm going to have to, this is the new collar. I'm going to have to do a relief here to allow the tachometer and the directional signal cable to feed through along the top of the column. So anyway, otherwise it's going better than I thought it would. So I'll catch you all later. Take care. Bye-bye.